Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 on Netflix, and a lot more. It's going to be a good one because we have Chuck Zimmerheld on the show. Chuck, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. You can tell. Yeah, let me drink on it. Let me just.
Yeah, there. Chug it down. Put more vodka.
There we go. Okay, I was up late gaming last night.
Yeah,
gotta forgive me. Did you know XCOM UFO defense is really difficult?
Yes.
1994.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had to like reset, lock in, and go, oh, okay, I need to. This is like a tactic game. So, but yeah, I got there.
Very careful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been a long time since I played. I definitely was like happy to get into the remakes, I guess, or not remakes, the follow-ups, the later successors to those games, and it made me realize, oh yeah, I should go back and try those. Yeah, that's how's that going? Did you lock in? Did you solve it?
Well, you have to get used to the concept that, and you've heard this before, acceptable losses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I named all my little squad mates after the owners of Giant Bomb. I'm sad to say none of you have survived.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I've taken a break from naming the individuals on the team until I feel like I have a grasp on how to upgrade them and get them there. But yeah, that's part of my my old video games list. I'm trying to work through and educate myself on. I'm having a really good time with it.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I keep looking at that list of like, oh man, that could play this game and that game. And it's like, I'm pretty busy playing some new stuff. So maybe sometime soon.
December comes for us all, Grubb.
Yep, there is quite a bit to get into. So we should actually just get this show started. Let's explain ourselves. We're internet video game doofuses. We're Giant Bomb. Go to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member. If you do, you are supporting independent games media. It's going to get you ad-free versions of our shows. It's going to get you premium exclusive access to shows like, let's see here. This is The Run, Sewer Shark. We just recorded more episodes of that. We recorded more episodes of the Premium Blight Club with Bacalar playing Catwoman. We recorded a new episode of 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles. We've got a lot going on, and we're also always planning to do quite a bit more. Do we have we decided a date on that Blake Club, the premium one with Jerf yet? I know it's going up soonish.
Tuesdays on the calendar.
There it is, guys. Tuesdays. So look out for that. It is going to be excellent. Actually, it's been a ton of fun.
I haven't seen it either. Like I'm waiting with everybody else for it. So
I think the reveal of the costume really is going to be worth the price of admission alone. Everybody. So go ahead and go to giantbomb.com/join right now. Get signed up so you don't miss it. Be a part of the big reveal when that does happen. And thank you to everybody who does support us. It makes the whole thing work. It makes everything make sense. And I'll tell just a quick anecdote. I was telling you, Chuck, on 9 Lives, where it's like we had that small little, victory on social media where we got like a small little viral hit. And I was like, kind of like, all right, when am I going to feel like we did it? It never happened. The feeling I get from working with this community is just 10,000 times whatever I would get out of like, oh my God, this video got 1 million views or whatever, and I'll never see those people in this community ever again. So this is why we do it. Like that's never going to change. And going to giantbomb.com/join tells us that you want that too. So really, everybody, we really do appreciate it. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get input from a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. You can always listen to the show or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Grand Theft Auto 6's next presentation is a Netflix-timed exclusive. Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, will premiere on Netflix on August 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have to figure out a way to break HDCP, I think. Guys.
Oh, there's ways.
Yeah, we have ways. Right. Rockstar's YouTube channel and Grand Theft Auto 6 website will receive it 6 hours later at 9 p.m. Eastern. Rockstar and Netflix have not announced its length or exactly what it contains, so that's why we're using the term presentation. Who knows what it's actually going to be. Rockstar has previously released 2 trailers for the game. although it has not released any gameplay so far. What the heck's going on here, Chuck?
Yeah, it's someone in marketing at Netflix that had a really good idea to get the gamers onto Netflix and maybe pay for a month or watch some ads to get their hands on this trailer that's going to be on YouTube. You know what? A scant 3 hours later or 6 hours later.
6 hours later,
like
yes.
Yeah. Did you see the marketing speak from a VP at Netflix?
I've not seen that yet. No, what was it like?
Extended look at Grand Theft Auto 6, the next evolution in the groundbreaking Grand Theft Auto series. Grand Theft Auto reveals have become cultural moments in their own right. The anticipation and fandom around Grand Theft Auto 6 is unprecedented, and we're honored that Rockstar Games has partnered with us to debut the next part of the Grand Theft Auto story with Netflix members first. You could just hear the NBA wink at the camera. It's pretty it's pretty rough. So, I mean, if you're Rockstar, like, take the money, dude. Like,
right.
I get it. Like, take that money. You're not really hurting anybody, delaying it by 6 hours, and this isn't really.
Rockstar's had a relationship with Netflix, right? They put the Grand Theft Auto like games on Netflix for mobile before, and so they've clearly like had these conversations where like, hey, let's do business together. And I bet Netflix, you're right, was just like, let's pitch this idea, and Rockstar's like, yeah, why wouldn't we take the money?
Yeah.
Jamie H. Christmas Eve in chat points out, like, the leading theory is that Rockstar doesn't trust the YouTube backend to keep the video private before it premieres, whereas Netflix would be more secure. You didn't see something like Stranger Things leak before it aired, for example. And I think it's about the money first and foremost. This is probably not worth like glossing over necessarily. There was the situation where, I can't remember the exact details, but there was that person who had the access to the YouTube backend that was doing a lot of leaks a few years back. And everyone's like, where's this guy getting all this information from? And he was able to see like details about videos, I think from Nintendo or something like that. And that it took a while to get sussed out. So it's like, yeah, if you are remembering that, which these companies certainly would, maybe that influences things a little bit, but it's the money that talks. Like, that's not that theory does not explain why Netflix wanted to pay money for it, which they clearly did. They wanted to pay money for it because they think, as you said, Chuck, and the very first thing you said was like, get the gamers on your platform, because they it is hard to speak to different pockets of people. Like, hey, there's all these people that are just going to be on TikTok and Instagram or whatever, and it's kind of hard to like get their attention and get them to spend money when they have this thing that's just giving them dopamine for free. But one avenue in there is like, there is this group of people that are in their 20s to 40s that we have not got yet. Everyone older than that probably already has Netflix or whatever. And they're playing games all the time. And we think when they're spending money on games and we give them something, they might kind of get locked into our platform. I don't know how realistic that is or what that really does here. But it's definitely curious. Like, does this have to be like anything more than a trailer to justify all this? Or is it just going to be like another trailer, but it just is on Netflix first?
What do you mean justify this?
Like, Netflix is paying them a bunch of money to come debut this. Is it just going to be a trailer, or can they sort of be like, is that enough for this whole deal to like make sense for Netflix, or does it need to be like the Xbox 360 debut with Elijah Wood and whatever? Is it going to be a bigger sort of presentation to sort of be like, oh yeah, the Netflix makes it feel special, something you wouldn't get if it was just a trailer on YouTube? Yeah,
it's see, when I read this, I was like, okay, I'm expecting at least 30 minutes of something extended look. I'm thinking of Nintendo Directs or whatever, where they do that longer look, and like Elijah Wood on this would be really fun. What if you're right though? What if it is Elijah Wood? That'd be nuts.
That'd be great.
That would make sense. Actually. And yeah, I think paying for something, if it's literally just like a 2-minute trailer, this doesn't happen, right? But you would just like pre-roll that before something else coming out or something. But no, I think at least 30 minutes would be my expectation.
Yeah, they have in the past done videos where like a lady's voice comes up and explains some of the features and some of the aspects of the world and how things work. I think we're assuming that's what this is, right? That has to be what this is. And I don't know if it's 30 minutes, but I think you're right. It's much more substantial. They've not said really what this presentation will entail. I mean, again, like this is the entirety of the language that I'm seeing on Rockstar Games' website. Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, will premiere on Netflix on the date we already said, and will also launch on the official Rockstar Games YouTube channel and Grand Theft Auto 6 site at 9 p.m. later that day. Grand Theft Auto, and then they just have the date and pre-order information. So we really have zero details about what this is going to be. But yeah, I think we should assume it has to be more than just the third trailer. It has to be more than that.
Right.
All right. So is this then this probably kicks off the rest of the campaign? It's just like it's Grand Theft Auto 6 blaring in our ears for the rest of the year, right? After this, it's going to kind of take a lot of the oxygen out of the room.
It's funny. It's like, how much marketing do they need to do? Of course, they will. They'll pick up and get going. How far out are we? Like 2 months?
It's November, so
okay.
yeah.
It's like almost like 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 months. It's a little over 3 months. Man, that's crazy.
I wonder like how much of their machinery do they need to really like get chugging? Are copies going to go out to reviewers? Do they need to do that? Isn't there time to them better spent with like, streamers and stuff? I'm really curious how that all shakes out, especially when we get closer to November.
Yep. All right, let's keep going here. Switch 2 remains Nintendo's fastest selling system. Nintendo shipped another 3.82 million Switch 2 systems during April through June, bringing the console to 23.68 million units after 13 months. That is ahead of both Wii's 20.13 million and the original Switch's 17.79 million after the same number of fiscal quarters. Nintendo maintained its forecast of 16.5 million Switch 2 systems for the full fiscal year. Nintendo's quarterly revenue fell 9.5% year over year to 517.8 billion yen, but operating profits jumped 150.5% to 142.6 billion yen. Nintendo credited a more profitable software-heavy sales mix and refunds of previously recorded tariff costs. They're one of these many companies that are getting those. They also should be getting pretty huge benefits from the current conversion rate for yen, although that's current. Is maybe when this was happening, it was current. But they didn't necessarily make a big deal about that as some of these other companies did. Digital revenue rose 90%, while Mario movie-related IP revenue more than doubled. Nintendo also sold 33.81 million original Switch games versus 9.46 million Switch 2 games during the quarter. Nintendo explicitly says Switch 2 backward compatibility is helping older Switch releases continue selling. I think that's like backward compatibility, right? A lot of things have that at this point. It makes a lot of sense. For Nintendo, I think we have like assumed like, oh, it's going to look very similar. Where it's like, yeah, the new games will sort of take over pretty quickly. But the Switch 1 was that first generation where Nintendo really was able to keep their prices high the entire time for the games. And I guess I didn't really think about what that would mean for, oh yeah, those Switch 1 games are going to keep selling on the Switch 2 and at those relatively high prices, and they're just going to look like, the same game on the shelf basically, or the same for the same system. Them carrying forward that momentum is really probably the answer to, okay, so they, the revenue's down, but the operating profit's way up. It's like, oh yeah, it's because the whole strategy is coming together around making a lot more money from this software, and that's exactly what happened. But the momentum just seems to be in their corner for every aspect of the way that they are rolling out the Switch 2 and their games. What do you think?
I was going to ask you, so with the announcement of like the price hikes, has that taken effect? When will that take effect? Yeah. Do we see like some of that folded in here? And then do these numbers slow down a little bit? Although we're headed into like the Christmas season, right? And then a bunch more will get sold. So it's probably all a wash, but it's like that stuff does factor in here somewhere. That's what I think of immediately when I see this.
Yes. So very good point. So the Switch 2 price increase, which brings it from $450 to $500 without the game included. And then there's always going to be bundles and stuff that they're doing. But without the game included, goes into effect on September 1st. So this still does not include that. But what it does include, Chuck, as we know, is people rushing out to get these. I mean, God, I've seen a couple of YouTube videos recently of people talking about, hey, everything's really expensive and getting more expensive. And so like Samsung is warning people like our RAM's going to keep going up in price. After making that warning and making good on it several times already. So, hey, if you are a person who wants to play video games or you're trying to plan out how to spend your money on this hobby over the next several years, here's like the go, no-go for each system and like when you should move on making purchases. And kind of across the board, everyone's like, if you have any inkling of getting a Switch 2 at any point, get it now. just get it right now, because we know there's a price increase coming on September 1st. And that is, and then we can assume that there is a price increase happening again for everything next year, because brand prices are going to double again, according to everyone who seems to be talking about this. So that motivation is definitely factored into these numbers. The fact that the Switch 2, which, it is down from its launch quarter, right? Yeah, that's to be expected. They had so many Switch 2s to service that really hungry fan base right there in that first month. But it's still keeping its momentum to the point where it's well ahead of the Wii and the original Switch, like by millions of units. And that's happening, I think.
Incredible.
And that's to your point, that is about people thinking about the price increase in a way that really is just we haven't seen before. So
right.
What do you think happens when the price increase does go through?
They're going to have experience, I think, a similar tale that the Switch 1 did and the Wii 1, like the Wii 1, the Wii had, obviously.
It was the Wii 1. The Wii 1. We got a Wii 2. We got a Wii U.
Ugh, yeah. Man, I think a lot about how Nintendo failures are just speed bumps for them, and they can just have multiple failures and just like keep cruising. And it's kind of incredible, like how much of a like gaming monolith they are, which is not related to what you just asked me. But
I mean, it's true though.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
I think that like does answer like sort of their overall sort of like what is Nintendo, and like where does this like where do their strategies come from? And it is like, we talk about they are competing in a video game business with a lot of other video game businesses, sure, but the way that they present themselves is, no, we're in the Nintendo business. We are delivering stuff just for our customers, which we think we can make more of all the time, and they usually are right about that. But that, I think that's been true for sure from like the beginning in a lot of ways, but definitely since the Wii, definitely since the end of the GameCube, when they were like, hey, that Shigeru Miyamoto was just doing interviews, and one of the things he brought up was the GameCube just sold to gamers. And we looked at that, we're like, we have to do something else. And that's what led them to come up with the idea of the Wii and the DS and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, since then, that has been their modus operandi, and it's been very distinguished or distinct from the decisions we've seen from Microsoft and Sony and a lot of other companies in this space. And it's paying off still. And so like when you talk about things being speed bumps for them, it's because they just are speaking to their own audience that was like, yeah, I mean, we see the sales in Japan of their physical games at retail from those charts we get every week. They're selling 500,000 physical copies of games in their launch week, and no one else in Japan is doing that. It's because Nintendo is just speaking to the Nintendo audience, and that really does make a difference.
Question for you real quick is, so I assume they're still manufacturing Switch 1s. Maybe they're not. Maybe they just have a pile they're sitting on.
They are. They're not manufacturing them for Europe anymore because of that whole change with the you have to have replaceable batteries.
Sure.
But they made a point of like, but that doesn't mean we're not doing it everywhere else. They are still doing it in most places.
Okay. I'm wondering when that ends, and because at some point it really behooves them to just. It seems like they've been slow to do that with this generation, and they're getting away with it where they're kind of like riding both sides. PS4, PS5, and Xbox One and the Series generations like did that too. And I don't think it worked out for them very well at all. So I'm curious like when they're going to pull the plug on the Switch 1 and like fully start moving like all their exclusives to Switch 2 and stop playing around with it.
Yeah. I think that, at the very least, like when it comes to them selling games, it hasn't seemed to hurt them. But I do think that there is a moment where it's like, hey, make it clear to people who are still on Switch 1 that you're really going to be missing out. But I think that's going to happen. Like we're talking about the price increase going through on September 1st, right, and their momentum being very good. Like what happens after that? And I think like the speed bump factor here is the fact that they are going to have Ocarina of Time right there to catch all those people who are like, oh, damn, I meant to get a Switch 2 when it was this price. Now it's $50 more expensive. I guess maybe I'll wait. Oh, shit, there's Zelda Ocarina of Time. That game, I played that when I was a kid, or I watched my family play that or whatever. I can't miss out on this. This thing looks amazing. And, a lot of that depends on how well they deliver that. But if they do, that is going to be the kind of thing that can move a lot of people to be like, okay, whatever the price is, I need to buy this thing. And then that sort of sets them up for people resetting what the price is in their minds. And most people just kind of forget and they begin moving on because now it's the Zelda machine and they can't miss that. So I think that they will. They've kind of timed this out in a really clever way, right? Where let people know very early on the price is going to go up. Reap the rewards of now motivating people to go out and get the system, which we've seen happen with all of these companies as they announce price increases. That the weeks, the months before the price increase goes into effect, they sell a lot more units, and Nintendo
Even Xbox gets that bump.
Even Xbox got a significant bump from that. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So like now it's like, okay, that happens. Now you're going to get more money from each sale. So there's months of this motivation, and then what do you do to sort of deal with the fact that now people feel a little bit bad that it costs more? Well, do you have an answer? And they do. It's Zelda, and probably they're gonna have lots of Zelda stuff. It seems like, because it's the 40th anniversary, and then they'll begin showing us other Nintendo Directs that set up the future of the system, and that.
And the movie
yes.
is out there looming on the horizon. That's not a coincidence that they're doing an Ocarina and they're doing a movie. It's like they've been pretty overt now that their movie strategy is like really paying off for them. It's like mentioned in this release on their earnings, talking about like Mario, like movie related stuff, like doubled in revenue or whatever. So yeah.
The frustrating aspect of this for consumers has got to be that tariff thing, though, where the way that worked out, the only true losers were us, the consumer, people buying video games.
Yes. It went into this administration's pocket.
Like and right, but then when they refunded it, it was like
to the corporations.
All the companies were able to like build price increases on the back of the tariff. So they got some heat for sure, as any company does, no matter what. People are like, I don't care what the reason is. This sucks. I'm paying more. But a lot of people understood and were like, yeah, man, Trump's an idiot. This really sucks that he's causing you to have to raise prices. Now I have to pay more, and you're not getting that money. It's going to Trump. That sucks for you. It sucks for me. Well, they got that money back. We didn't, and the price increases aren't going to get reversed. So basically, all of these companies got free PR done for them to get free price increases that we're all going to have to continue living with, which is just, if you're wondering why inflation won't get under control, welcome to America. It's great.
And what's crazy is they're getting these like tariff refunds, and it shows up in their quarterly reports.
Yeah.
And they're like, shareholders like,
ticket.
Wow.
Yeah.
The value goes up. It's like, no, this isn't. It's really frustrating. It's that like investor quarterly mindset is just like fucking poison, man.
Yep. All right. Just sticking with this real quick. Tomodachi Life, which is a Switch 1 game, is officially a mega hit. Like, this is a game that has now reached that threshold that I kind of have in mind of around anything north of like 6.5, 7 million copies sold. This is right in that region. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream has reached 7.94 million copies shipped by June 30th. And then they added that it did surpass 8 million sold through to consumers by August 5th. So that's less than 4 months after release. It has already surpassed the 3DS game's approximately 6.73 million lifetime sales. And yeah, this is the kind of thing where like, oh yeah, how do you sort of diagnose looking at this? Be like, okay, man, can Nintendo just turn any game into a hit, or are they just speaking to that audience? And I think that goes back to they're delivering something that does a number of things. It creates fun social content you could share with your friends, which is basically gold to a lot of people in many generations at this point. And then it is a self-contained product, so people like can feel good about like owning something without having to get on some weird treadmill. And then suddenly you're not really part of a community. You're part of like a bunch of people who are trying to min-max a game so you can get the most value out of every little dollar you're putting into it every week. It's delivering, and Nintendo is, again, reaping a lot of the rewards. What do you make of Tomodachi Life's success?
I think a lot of it has to do with, obviously, the install base of the Nintendo Switch, and Switch 2 is really, really good. But additionally, I think the way that the sequels like had clips that were shared around a lot on social media, it did really well on like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. We had a clip that did really well from Tomodachi Life. That was like extremely common in like the week or two before and after that game released. I think that just like raised Tomodachi Life into more of like the consciousness, where it made it like a product. People are like, what is that? I have a Switch. I want that. I want to see like who I can make and like do weird things with. So I think they really capitalized on that. I do think like looking at these numbers, it does just feel more like a lot of people have Switch and Switch 2, and of course those numbers would be better because we don't have a handheld and a console anymore. We have the one thing, and so this makes sense to me on that front.
Yep. Yeah, I think they just kind of nailed everything they needed to do with that to make it like a grow and attract more users. And it's not done. That's 4 months in. Right. Like it's going to keep, like it hasn't had a holiday yet. It's going to do very well this holiday, I think. And I do wonder, do they have major updates for this game? Are there expansions? It's Nintendo. I don't necessarily know if they are going to do that, but this is a game that would certainly, like if they had one big expansion that added a lot of stuff that some of the Tomodachi diehards have been asking for, and then adds some stuff that people aren't expecting, this game could get a second lease on life very easily. And I'm kind of hoping they do that, but I'm not expecting it necessarily.
You would know way better than me because your kids play this, right? With you,
I mean the kids play it, quite a bit still. Yeah, I'm hopeful, but it's Animal Crossing got some support, but it didn't get they did not turn that massive hit into a live service thing. There wasn't ongoing updates, and a lot of people are like, why wouldn't they do that? Well, the game sold 40 million copies. They didn't need to do that to keep making money from it. This game's not going to do Animal Crossing COVID numbers, right? But it is definitely one that could keep growing throughout this entire generation. And I think they could boost that if they just give it a couple updates. Again, this is maybe hopium for me, but we'll see. All right. We're going to go on break, but before we do, one last news story. There's a new addition to the Space Ace Speedrun.com leaderboard. Number 5, Dan Reichert. Are you
sure? I don't know. This
you think this is not trustworthy?
It's not newsworthy, Grubb. I know it's trustworthy. Wait,
man.
Who's the moderator of that speedrun board? Wait,
I don't know.
I'm looking at the page. It says Dan Reichert's the moderator, and he approved his own speedrun for Space Ace on the Super Nintendo. Grubb,
that's suspicious.
we need to ring the alarm bells. Get the journalists on this.
Yes, whistleblower. Yeah, let's
investigate corruption on speedrun.com.
Man, this stinks to high heaven, I tell you. All right, well, clearly corruption has overtaken gaming once again. Right. We'll get everybody on that. We're going to go on break. When we come back, plenty more headlines to get into. If you want to skip out on these ad messages, you can do so. Giantbomb.com has the ad-free versions of the audio and video show there. We will be right back. It's Game Mess Mornings. That's Chuck. I'm Grubb. Let's get back into it. Sony is reportedly putting warning labels on PS5s about decision to ditch discs. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Sony is reportedly starting placing warning labels on PlayStation 5 consoles, alerting purchasers of its decision to soon discontinue physical disc games. That's according to an image posted on Twitter by content creator Behind the Games, which shows a sticker placed on a PlayStation 5 box flagging the decision to end disc production in January 2028. It reads, "Important notice from January 2028. Newly released games on PlayStation will be available for purchase on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital format only." And that's the alleged message. And then discs for games released before January 2028 can continue to be played on this console. The label has not yet been authenticated by other users, and if real, it's not clear whether it's been placed on all variants of PlayStation 5. Yeah, but they should put that on there, though, right? Someone buying a disc-based console in the 18 months in the lead up to this, they probably should know what they're not going to get themselves into in the future, and that's buying future discs after January 2028. Of course, you could still, I guess, buy discs, but there won't be any new games printed on disc after that time from Sony or for any PlayStation game. Obviously, this is not going to change much, but yeah, they kind of are they're getting serious about it.
To push on that a little bit, though, this is not... Looking at this image, if it's real, this is not for communicating to consumers, because
it's covering your ass. Yeah,
it's a cover your ass legalese stamp that's fine print. No one's going to read this. No one buying this console for their kid or their spouse is going to read this. It's literally and I wonder why we're not seeing it. That's why we're not seeing it in all territories or something. It's maybe it's cover your ass legalese in certain countries where they would maybe be open to litigation or something because of this choice. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely not for helping the consumer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the guys, and that's what leads to those rules and regulation to get these things printed on boxes. But yeah, the actual, you're right. In practice, it won't stop anyone from buying it. No one will be alerted to this fact. They won't read it. You're right. Yeah, it does speak to this idea, though, that if this is real and they already have these labels out there, it does speak to this idea that, man, Sony has this strategy in place and they are just going forward with it on every front that they need to, including having the lawyers cross the T's and dot the I's in all regions to make sure that they are in compliance with whatever regulation led to this. And this is not just some like, hey, we made a decision and we'll kind of get to it when we get to it. It is the thing that they are focused on. And I kind of think this is under the umbrella of the overall strategy of, hey, we have an installed base that is large. We want to make more money from them. And every decision sort of filters down from there. And this is like the second layer of that pyramid of we can make more money from digital than physical. And if we just shift the last few consumers from physical to digital and we kind of get rid of the current split between us and the retailers, we are going to see a significant improvement to our profit margin. It's probably maybe not double digit, but at least high single digit improvement, which would be a huge win for a company like Sony at this point, needing to in every way that they can. So it's when I look at it that way, Chuck, when it's like, oh, this is just the marching orders as part of the overall, like this is the strategy for growing PlayStation for the next couple of years because live service games didn't work and we don't know how to keep making games as big as Naughty Dog makes them, and making another studio to do that is just obviously not in the cards. So where can we get the growth from? Here, and we need that growth, so we're not backing off from this. Makes it feel very set in stone to me. Chuck, what do you think?
I agree. And also, like, if you know anything about how large corporations make decisions, just the long, like, just pitch deck, slides, meeting with this person, levels all the way up to, like, you know, company leadership. And then if we're getting to the point where stuff's been printed on labels, that means those have been like carried down to people at the implementation level in the hardware divisions. And it's like, it's over. Like it is what it is. And I know you guys have beat this to death, of course, on this show and everywhere on the internet, people are whinging on about this, of course, but yeah, it's a done deal. And like, unfortunately, unless you can change the math, which says actually you getting rid of physical will make you more money. Like if you can change that math, then they might change their mind, but the math is the math.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, there's definitely a little bit of a bet they're making there, but I think they believe long run, without a doubt, it'll make them more money. And then there might just be a small hiccup, a small speed bump or something, and they believe they can absorb that. You know, I do think it's noteworthy that you don't hear Nintendo talking about this, and you do see their physical sales doing very well, especially for their own games, but occasionally for some third-party games on their system as well. But they aren't manufacturing optical drives, right? That is, and Sony at this point being sort of handcuffed to that, and like, well, we could shift you to something else, some other medium, but that doesn't help people who already have discs, and that's half the point of this conversation, this argument. So why don't we just go ahead, just rip the whole Band-Aid off and go in this other direction? And we've already involved the package designers, the people designing the boxes for our thing. So everyone else is involved, to your point, Chuck. And it's like, when that ship begins moving in that direction, it seems very unlikely it will shift into a different direction.
It's still baffling to me, though, as a decision, like for those decision makers in the company. It's like you already tested the waters with a digital PS5 and had the opportunity to sell a disc drive as an add-on, you know, like you could support this with an add-on disc drive. You could, like, it's fine. And then you can, like, if outside companies like Limited Run want to press discs and make those for your console, great. Like they could support that too. You can just offload all the costs of doing the actual work for this to other parties. But I think part of that too is like when you're running an ecosystem like this, you have a team dedicated toward making sure that game delivery via disc works. Like there is a not small group of people that are just responsible for that at a large company like this. So I know it's way more complicated and we don't know the inner workings of the company. And but all this to say, it's a done deal.
Yep, and as I'm sure a million people will point out in the comments and have been saying in chat, oh yeah, the plant that made their disk drives or printed the disks, so I think it was printed the disks, is being shifted over to make lenses for AI data centers or whatever, and so like and that makes a lot more money, so they're just not going to reverse this decision. Yeah, I think you're right about that for sure. That like there would have to be some other path forward, and their appetite to do that, especially since that would not fall under the current thinking at how to make more money over there at Sony. It's probably not going to get reversed, and people are just going to have to make a decision about what that means for them going forward with these massive collections that they're very proud of, and not being able to expand that, or not being able to expand that and actually have a disc inside that box. Do you stick with PlayStation 6? What are your other options? Xbox, like even if Xbox does make some commitment to physical games.
Didn't they rush out like some kind of like rumor or statement about Project Helix supporting discs as like a part of the strategy? I think they did that as a fast follow to this.
There's definitely some rumors out there about that. Yes, right now there's like, it will support discs, which their disc to digital strategy to me suggests that they're thinking about ways to at least give people an option, which they've always talked about. But that was, I don't know. I don't think that is substantial long term. I don't think that is something that they are, because they don't make the optical disc drives.
Right.
And that they're going to have to pay for those things and put them in already very expensive consoles, and tacking on that. God, I don't know what they are wholesale, but like $15 to $20, maybe more at a certain point. That is going to be something that they want to take out and keep out and just sell separately. And so I don't think there's any version of the Xbox Helix that launches with a disc drive built in. I think they will sell that thing separately, and that's it. And at that point, yeah, that's kind of the ball game for discs of disc-based video games, at least. All right. Capcom says the move to an all-digital future won't have a significant impact on its sales. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Capcom has said the ongoing games industry shift to an all-digital future won't have much of an impact on its sales. Sony announced a month ago that physical disc games will be discontinued for PlayStation, with Xbox reportedly preparing a disc-to-digital system, which lets players turn their digital Xbox One and Series X games into digital purchases. Speculation is mounting that an upcoming Project Helix console may also follow suit. While players and retailers have been expressing their concern about what this means for the future of the medium, some publishers are less concerned, at least when it comes to the impact it could have on their bottom line. In a Q&A session following its latest financial results, Capcom was asked, what impact do you anticipate from the shrinking physical game market in the medium to long term? The company responded that it predicted very little impact because the vast majority of its game sales are already digital anyway. Approximately 90% of our unit sales are digital. The company's official reply reads, we do not anticipate a significant impact at this time. Capcom's stance is perhaps understandable from a business point of view, given that it recently reported another strong financial quarter with sales and profits up year on year. Worth pointing out, when they're talking about 90% of their sales, they are talking about unit sales. So everything that is sold is, and that includes like when a game goes on sale for $5 on Steam. And so all their catalog sales, and it's kind of like, you're probably not going to see that older game on a store shelf anymore, but you will see it for $5 on Steam, and then thousands of people go to pick that up. That stuff adds up. And then they weren't directly asked about like discs going away. They're like, hey, will this affect your business, this growing digital future? Well, no, they've already mostly shifted to digital. So Capcom's just like telling their investors, no, stop, don't worry. We're good no matter what happens. What else are they going to say? Yeah, like panic, or the next big game that would have launched on a disc is going to make less money if there's not a disc option, which probably could be true. Like that really could be true. But they're not going to go there and tell their investors to worry, because they're like, no, we have prepared ourselves for a digital future, so you don't need to worry. Well, that is what a company is supposed to say in this situation, right?
Right. I can't help but think behind the statement is them going like, actually, we benefit, right? Because I'm thinking about your short about the nipple DLC. Think about EA trying to mitigate trading of sales of used copies, and then still trying to make money off of used copies by offering DLC like with stuff locked behind it. I think Capcom probably sees like, actually, this will probably just end up making more money off of this. I don't know what those numbers are like. I don't know if they're significant. I wish we had like a good idea of used game sales, used Capcom. That's so specific and so niche. It's like really hard to get that. But I imagine from their seat, they probably view this as a net positive for them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it was Matt Piscatella saying that he hasn't had any of his clients ask about the used game market in like 10 years or something like that. They just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like it feels to me like they had already solved that for the most part in terms of, well, or they baked it into their understanding of how things work. And yeah, a big part of that is like, you know, they do have a lot of digital sales and they kind of, and like Steam doesn't have any of the used game market or whatever. But yeah, they definitely will make more money for sure.
Yep.
As long as, you know, but that will be long term. I think there are some games where it's like, hey, if it didn't have a physical copy with a disc at launch and it was only available through the PlayStation Store, and at least for people who are going to buy it on PlayStation, I think there will be people who be like, oh yeah, I buy my games in the store, that this stinks. But that will go away pretty fast, I think. So yeah.
Can you remind me? So Pragmata, that was on all platforms, right?
Yeah, it was.
Resident Evil, I think also all platforms. So I mean, for them, it's just like, I don't think they care where people buy their games, right? As long as they buy them. To buy them on PC, cool. Sounds good to them, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think this matters a lot more if you're a exclusive Sony studio. That's where like these numbers look very different. But for Capcom, it's like money's money.
Yep. And I'll say I bet that Pragmata and Resident Evil Requiem weren't like 90% digital, 10% physical. Games like that are going to be much closer to maybe even 50-50, but like 60-40 digital physical.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
That's those are the numbers for the big games like that.
Oh,
like
wow.
Yes. That, you know, that's at launch. Over time, once the games are a little bit older and they're not getting restocked at retail, and then the digital sales begin to happen, like the digital discounts begin to happen, the number will shift over time. But yeah, it like for a big game like that, especially like something from Capcom that has a fan base, it's going to be, yeah, like 60-40, 70-30, kind of in that range. It is not insubstantial for physical games.
Interesting.
But, you know, what they expect to happen here is the people who were going to retail to buy these games still will now just get the code in the box, and then they get a much better cut from that going forward. That's the plan.
Collector's editions maybe become more important with like goodies in the box, right? Even if you're just getting a code.
Yeah, for sure. I think how do they shift the collector mentality? Because the collector really does want the disc. That's the thing to collect first and foremost. So yeah, they'll come up with something, I'm sure. Sony is making let me say this right. Sony is making Pisser 2.0 the default on PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
A new PS5 beta firmware automatically enables the setting that substitutes the upgraded Pisser model, commonly called Pisser 2.0. But I do think that Sony calls it upgraded PSSR. This automatically enables it for the original version in every supported game, or replaces it, I should say. The override has existed since March, but users previously had to find and activate it manually. Players can still opt out. More than 100 games supported the original Pisser implementation. The beta also includes an option to disable Bluetooth, designed primarily for esports venues where numerous nearby consoles and controllers can cause pairing. Sony and AMD work together on this in a big way to like really improve it, because AMD is the what powers the system, and then Sony had a lot of their own stuff that they had built, and they kind of combined the two into this here, and it really does look pretty good. So turning this on was a no-brainer, but if you didn't know about it or weren't willing to like go into your settings and find it, or just like kind of heard about it, like I'll get to it, and then forgot, you were missing out. And now the game should look significantly more improved. I think image upscaling is kind of like, it's definitely something we talked about a lot for years there when NVIDIA DLSS was new and thriving. Not that it's not like doing very well. It's still a very cool technology. But now that hardware is so expensive, I do think like image upscaling is going to be a conversation that keeps growing again. And these companies will have to find ways to like reintroduce that and make it better and better. One thing I've heard people doing recently, Chuck, is like these apps that they'll pair with their older hardware called like lossless scaling, or like, hey, I will run my game at a lower resolution and use this basically third-party version of the concept of DLSS on my own, and get something where it's like, hey, this looks just as good. And apparently that's a very popular thing to do right now. I think it's going to grow in popularity again.
Do you ever have one of those? Do you ever have one of those dongles where it takes analog, goes to digital, but then also does like upscaling and stuff on it? Have you seen those?
I haven't had one that takes analog to digital. I did have one like it got M cable or it's like
That's
some
what I'm
French.
thinking of. It's like M something, yeah.
Yeah, they did it for the Switch 1. They had one where you could like plug the Switch into it, and maybe you could plug anything into it, but it was definitely, they marketed it for the Switch 1, and it basically made it look like a 1440-ish p signal, and it worked really well, I thought.
Yeah, it's weird. Just like I was thinking about the Super FX chip on the Super Nintendo. It's like these bespoke chips made to like do additional math, and it's like, oh, are we just there again? We're just like adding components in the chain so we can like upscale, and I kind of love it, if I'm being honest. I really like hacky like kind of solutions to that stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, would that concept of the Super FX chip be possible even on a Nintendo card? And I don't think it would be, because that is I don't think it would be, because the thing that's an SD card reader, basically. That's what that cartridge. It's just reading data. It is not sort of integrating into the circuitry in the same way that a cartridge did on a Super Nintendo. So I don't think any of these systems could add on chips in any real way.
Bring back cartridges.
That's
why we're getting rid of discs. We're going back to cartridges, people. It's going to be a good future.
And that is why I always am a stickler about nope, the Nintendo Switch things, those are cards, not cartridges, because they don't deserve to be called cartridges. They have load times. They can't.
You're very right. Yes,
they can't inject this other hardware. They don't deserve it. They haven't earned that. But I'm also an old man, so maybe that's a big part of it too.
I like saying pisser.
Yeah, pisser's great, right? Yeah, that's fun. I wonder how Sony feels about it, and I don't care, actually. The long-awaited Switch 2 version of Diablo 4 is reportedly coming in September. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but let's get the details from Chris Scullion at VGC. The long-reported Switch 2 version of Diablo 4 is set to release next month. It's been claimed. Deal Labs writer Bill Kuhn, who has an extremely lengthy and accurate record of leaking hardware and software news before it's officially announced, said the game is indeed nearing completion on Switch 2. According to The Insider, the Switch 2 port of Diablo 4 will be released on either September 15th or September 18th. We cannot yet guarantee which of these two dates is correct, but the release will definitely be on one of these two dates, they said. The game will be available at a price of $70 and will reportedly also have a physical release, but it will be a code in a box rather than a cartridge or a game key card, or even just a regular card. It's also not yet confirmed whether the Switch 2 version will include the Lord of Hatred DLC or whether it will be a separate purchase. Yeah, I hope it does. At that price, at this point, I hope they just include everything on there. That's usually one of the benefits you can get from like waiting for the Switch port, is they just include all the DLC or something like that. But yeah, Diablo 3 was a big hit on Switch 1, so it's not a surprise that they saw this through and got to this point, right?
Yeah. Now you too can buy a 3-year-old game on a handheld for $70.
$70, yeah.
That's the thing I say. I'm like, okay, fuck you, actually.
It really just makes sense. It just makes sense for people who are like, we have a Nintendo, we're not going to go play this on a PC, and we want to play it on a couch with the family. And so, okay. You had other ways of doing that before, but okay, I guess, yeah. I bet this game still does very well, though.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy XIV team says it's working on Switch 2 ports unacceptable load times. This is from Willow Rowe at Polygon. Square Enix finally released Final Fantasy XIV on Switch 2 this week, and the game's 1-month early access period on the new platform has gone fairly smoothly, but not without any problems. One of the biggest issues players are encountering is slow load times. The day after launch, Square Enix says a fix is in the works. I think basically they described what was happening here. They said data is reloading and the cache clearing process. I don't fully understand, but they did say that they identified the problem, identified optimizations they can make, and are planning to test those before rolling them out. So that's where they're at with this. Apparently, by all other accounts, Chuck, people think this is a pretty good port, and it has gone pretty smoothly. So hopefully they can solve this, because that would be annoying to deal with long load times on this game that's been around for years and years and years.
This feels insane. I didn't know there was a Final Fantasy 14 on the Switch, and now I'm thinking about. I'm like, isn't this an MMO? And now I'm like, maybe I don't know what Final Fantasy 14 is. Do people? I guess people play this with their controller. That confuses me as like an old.
It was made
MMO
for a controller.
player.
Yes, this is the MMO that was made for controllers. That's why this is kind of like exciting for people to say if this is not like something that they need to solve. It's long solved. It is not like World of Warcraft where people play with controllers after they mod the hell out of it. This has been baked in by the developers from the beginning. And so, yeah, it's working just fine, and it's been made for that. And people are going into the free trial that has 200 hours of content that you could play without paying anything, I guess. And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't fully understand what it is either. I'll be honest, but people are excited.
We
about
find out when Jan does Final Fantasy. Well,
yes,
maybe we'll see that. I think it's so funny. I was like, it's like 20-second loading screens. Okay, so like Destiny 1, get over it. No, it's while being revived during 8-player content.
Yes,
like you die, and then you've let down your team during a raid or something, and then they have to wait 20 seconds while you have a black screen. Is so funny to me. And like everyone's yelling at that guy for dying.
Yeah, and this game is, again, it's been around for years. This was on PS4, right? Everybody, like, I'm not that, like, it was maybe even before that, but it was on PS4. The Switch 2 definitely has a better CPU than the Switch 4 or the PlayStation 4. Like, it has a much better CPU. So it's like, what's happening here? Like, how does this happen? And it's like apparently there's some issue with like loading in other people. That is exactly what causes the problem. So. I bet they'll get this fixed. Hopefully they do. That would be annoying. If that
Calling things an issue is just like PR speak for what IT would call a bug that they ship to production. Like that's this
known shippable.
This is just, yeah, exactly.
All right. Some updates about the rest of this week. For today, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls launches on PS5 and PC. God, here, let's see here. It unlocked as this show began. So people are playing that game now. It is $60 at its standard price. Launches with 20 characters. Gears of War E-Day Early Access Beta begins for eligible pre-orders. Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass users running through August 10th. The fully open test follows August 13th through 17th. Also today, QuakeCon begins. Chuck, we got to go to QuakeCon.
Dude,
that's what we need.
I love
that's what we need.
Dan's never played Quake.
Yeah.
That still hurts my brain. Also, they did like a remaster or like a re-release of Quake recently, and that version plays so fucking good. Yeah. And I brought my buddy who like he didn't play games in the 90s or like aughts or whatever, even had him play that, and he was like, hold up, this is like, it's very fast, like very engaging. It's just like a really good game. I would love to go to QuakeCon. I saw a picture of John Carmack and John Romero like
really
side hugging each other. I was like, holy shit.
That's amazing.
I was like, wow, that guy's worth $50 million and that guy's worth like 5. And that I wonder if that's weird for them. That was the first thing I thought of. I was like, they took different paths, but one of them's a way better person, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. In my opinion as well. With the QuakeCon, let's see, that's celebrating its 30th year. So hopefully there's some good vibes there after, a lot of layoffs definitely hit that the id team and everything sort of surrounding the ZeniMax stuff over there. So vibes could be off, but hopefully people are still able to find some joy there. See, I have a list of like some smaller releases. I don't know. I haven't heard of any of these, but I did just pick up this
Restory
list.
Chill Electronics Repair is really cool. It's a game where you run like a retro repair stall.
Is it like that PC builder simulator? Is it kind of similar?
Not exactly. Like they'll bring you like an old Game Boy, and you do have to like unscrew each screw, then like replace chips, and it's a lot about like recycling parts from other broken devices you can't recover.
Sounds awesome,
like,
actually.
Yeah, it's really cool. Lucy James put me onto it with her newsletter. You guys should go follow that, by the way. But yeah, Restore Chill Electronics Repair. I can recommend that one out of this list. I don't know these others though.
Cappy Castaway, Iron Nest, Heavy Turret Simulator, and Sovereign Tower. I wonder if any of those are going to pop off. Tomorrow, QuakeCon continues. Friday's official schedule includes Quake Champions tournaments, a Quake 30th retro presentation, speed runs, and community programming. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. All right, that does it for the headlines. We have a poll question from yesterday that we should catch up on. Let me go ahead and refresh, get the most up-to-date results over here.
I forgot to post the poll question.
And we're going to post that poll question. We'll get to it tomorrow instead. So no new poll question today. Or maybe we could do two. What did I even have here? Did I come up
Will
with
is
one?
saying insane
didn't come
shit
up
in the
with one.
chat. He says Iron Nest is the PVVK style. Will, you can't just say letters.
God, man. We got to
History?
get that guy off the History Channel. He's just
I know.
watching World War II in HD with Tom
He
Hanks.
keeps rooting for the gray coat people. I don't know what he means.
I don't know who that is. That's weird, though. I never heard that before. All right, we'll get that poll question from yesterday, which, God, what was it? Do we have that? I'll just look it up real quick. Wednesday. I type Wednesday in my browser and it pops up. It's not that hard, Mike.
That's
Minotti.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's good stuff. All right, poll
I was
question.
telling Jane, I was like, I can't find the doc for today. What the fuck did he name it? Thursday. Okay.
Have you purchased an EA game this year? Yes or no? We'll get the results of that on tomorrow's show instead. Speaking of tomorrow's show, it's the Bomb 12, so make sure you get your vote in for that as well. A lot of responses so far.
Everybody's going to vote for Thief, the Dark Project. I heard the hot new game. Yep.
I definitely heard that. All right, let's see. With that out of the way, I think we could talk about what's happening on Giant Bomb. Today, it's Thursday, voicemail dump truck, but we've also been recording a lot of stuff this week, so keep your eye on the website, giantbomb.com, for updates of premium content. If you're a premium member, go check that stuff out. If you're not, dip your toe in, go see what's going on over there. It's really good stuff. Tomorrow, we are going to be having another Game Mess Mornings, but then we're going to do UPF early. Kind of look around for it. Just stick around after GMM tomorrow. We're going to do the giant big walk. We're going to do a bunch of big walk tomorrow. We're going to do it the same way we did the quick look. So cutting between perspectives, it's going to be a lot of fun. Hang out with us if you want to. If you enjoyed
buried the lead a little bit, I should say. The dump truck will have Bailey Myers on it from the Good Times Society.
That's
and
right.
Previously, as seen on Giant Bomb, Booley Myers. So definitely be there for that. She's always really good on the voicemail dump truck.
Great on everything, absolutely.
Yep.
Looking forward to that. So definitely tune in, stick around, and we'll see you for all those shows. All right, Chuck, tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
I think you, the listener and viewer of Game Mess Mornings, should follow my Twitch account, Chucktowski, because I'm playing a bunch of old games, and you're a nerd. I'm a nerd. We could hang out. We could maybe like hold hands or kiss or something. Something could happen. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say something couldn't happen. Something could happen.
Right. Hand stuff.
Thank you for watching and listening. Chuck, thank you for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm always honored and delighted when you message and ask.
And I appreciate you doing it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. As I was saying, you're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.